Hi, and welcome to the Andrew Ovid podcast. Today, I have the pleasure, I have a special guest. His name is Stephen Kangalee. He's in the financial space, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his journey and how it is that he came about to be in this financial space. Stephen, over to you, and welcome to the show.
Well, Andrew, thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here. How I got started in the journey. Well, I've been working in the financial services sector for over 15 years. Since 2007 is when I started in various different capacities. But in 2016, I had an opportunity to become a financial advisor, and I was up for the challenge, and I took it. And over that time, what I've learned most of all, that this career really teaches you more about yourself, your resilience, your ability to bounce back from disappointments and setbacks, and to really grow and develop as an individual. And I think that has become part of my delivery towards my clients and in the services that I offer.
Yeah.
And Andrew, I have known you for many, many years.
Many years.
And it has been, a wonderful journey. But I'm sure most people may be wondering who is Andrew Ovid and how he is where he is today. So tell us, if you could tell us about your background in banking and entrepreneurship, and how has that shaped your unique biblical perspective for, creating wealth and, your perspective on money.
Well, what I could say is that business is like all to me. I started off in sales, and I think that I was the shy, timid type of person. So that really broke me out of my shell and opened my eyes. It's been such a journey where I've learned at different levels. So banking gave me a whole new monetary perspective, where it is that I understand money a little bit more. I understand business a little bit more. So I think that all in all, taking it back to even the Bible,
right,
it connected a lot of dots for me in terms of, all right, well, this is what that would have represented. This is what sales would have represented. This is what banking would have represented. And it just gave me a clarity in terms of things that we may miss, the why of why we do what it is that we do, and so on. So I just believe that my whole journey has been such a rich one that now I'm in a space that I could impart a little bit of knowledge of what I've gained.
I do believe I may be one of the very few people who would have known you before this transformation. And up to today, I'm always amazed to see how you are now, knowing who you were before. You talk about being shy and timid, they had no idea. And to see you operate now, it is always mind-blowing. So, I know people see it today and they may think that's normal, but I know where it came from. And I think it has a little more greater impact on me. As someone, like myself, growing up in, with Christian values,
Yeah.
I have always felt very, at the beginning of my career in financial advising, I have felt very conflicted about wealth and earning money and so on. And I'm sure, you will have some thoughts on that as well. What do you believe are some of the misconceptions about sales and success that you can use to help clarify, to help your clients reframe using biblical principles?
Well, first of all, I'll say when we read the Bible, right, there's so much stories in it that is able to paint pictures that are not just on the spiritual front.
Right.
So it painted the pictures of how they would have lived, their families, the culture, the society. And the Bible paints a picture of a very productive one.
Right.
Right? So when you go through these stories, you realize that, let's just say the financials had a critical part to play,
right,
throughout the different stories and ages and so on. So for example, you will see even in Genesis, when they would have mentioned gold, when it is that they mentioned, let's just say, Joseph,
right,
and that whole scenario, everything would have revolved around the capacity to create wealth within the Bible. And I think that there's a misconception now that the level of contentment that we need to have needs to come without any wealth
Right.
and any type of power. And from the Bible, there are different places where it is that we see that those are critical for even the movement of God's kingdom.
Correct. So how would you say that impact the career of sales? Because even in that story with Joseph, one of the things that really stood out to me was when there was a famine in the land and Joseph had all the corn or the grain and things stored up. And I always assumed that he would just give it to the people because they need it, right?
Yeah.
When he's starving, he's like, no, you gotta buy it. So that was like sales there. You have to buy. If you couldn't buy, you wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah.
So what I know many people have different thoughts about a salesperson in general is usually painted as a schemer and as somebody who trying to get you something you don't really need or want.
Yeah.
What would you say about those type of misconceptions?
Well, the first thing is, yes, I could see it. We do look at salespeople as like the bottom of the barrel and the scammers and so on.
I'm aware.
But I always have this framework in my mind, like, what's the value of money if you can't buy anything?
For that.
Right? And everything that is bought is sold.
Correct.
Which means that sales has a critical role in actually creating value of money. So there's no value in what it is that you have if it is that it's just given for free.
Right.
Right. So the wisdom that Joseph had to store up the corn and to have them make that sacrifice, that was valuable. And sacrifice is something that is done in the present for the future.
Correct.
So he had every right to be able to charge a premium price for something that is good.
Correctly, especially since demand was so high.
Correct.
And supply was limited. So that is excellent, man. I agree. How do you guide people to achieve clarity of vision? And why do you believe it is something that is essential for their own personal growth and professional growth as well?
Well, the Bible says, without a vision, the people perish, right? Mm-hmm. So what I've noticed is that when people are stuck in certain mindsets, so you're in survival mode, you're wondering, how do I pay my bill in the next few days? Right. What goes into my fridge in the next few days? Mm-hmm. If they're going to cut one of my services in the next few days, it's very, very difficult to see afar off.
Correct.
So what I notice is that seeing far off is a gift.
Right.
And you need to be able to rewire your mindset to see into the future.
Correct.
And the further that you could see is almost the more wealthier that you are in mindset. Right. So having that clarity of vision in terms of where you want to be in the next year, the next 5 years, is way more valuable than, all right, I'm trying to make it till next week.
Right.
And most times I try to get persons to think long term because there's so much more value in terms of your steps in the present that come for the future. A lot of persons live in the present just for the present. And they are not able to see long-term benefits at all.
Absolutely. As you were speaking there, going back to that scripture that you mentioned, without a vision, people perish. If you study the lives of successful people, you see the pattern or the trend or even the teaching that they give with regards to thinking 10-year visions. So it's very difficult to think 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead even, if you're studying, month end.
Yeah.
And I remember you were the first person that introduced me to the concept of survival mode. And I realized, oh snap! I was like, that's what it's called, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, even in my career, you speak to a lot of people, you realize that they're in survival mode. And a lot of the times, the problem is not necessarily because of lack of money, but because of a lack of money management. What are some of your core principles on managing one's money effectively to help them to raise their head and look with clarity into the future, so they know they have a plan that they're looking to achieve? What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, definitely, I think that you need to have a plan, like a budget, a written plan. So, and the Bible also says to write the vision and make it plain,
That's
right?
Yeah.
So, without a plan, a game plan that you could stick to, any road would get you to where it is that you want to go.
Sure.
Right? So, any spending pattern would get you there. So what happens is when you have the goal and you have the dream and you have the vision, then you are very, very conscious of how do I work for it. So, for example, if you know in 5 months or in 6 months, I have this particular purchase to do, and I need to be working towards that, then you begin to plan for that particular thing.
Right.
Like the issue is that most persons don't have a plan in place, they don't have a budget in place. So it's very, very difficult. And my principles on money are really, really simple, where I believe that your inflow must be more than your outflow, right? Your inflow must be faster than your outflow,
Right.
and your inflow must also be perpetual,
Okay.
right? So first of all, you're talking about spending less than you make, right? So if you make 10,000, don't spend 10,000 or more than 10,000. And then the next thing is if you get paid monthly or weekly or daily, it depends. You want to be able to have cash flow coming in faster than how it's going out,
Right.
right? Because if it's going out faster than it's coming in, well, you're going to stifle, you're going to suffocate, right? And then, of course, you want to have a plan for generational wealth, so to speak, because a good man provides for his children's children, right?
Correct.
So I think that kind of ties it into a nutshell. So it would be the mindset and the thinking around money, where it is that you're really channeling and focusing on your goals and planning and having like the intent to do what it is I want to do.
Excellent, man. So being a business owner, I'm sure you know way better than me. It's no cakewalk. It's no walk in the park. There's a lot of ups and downs. What are some of the things, or how does faith play a role in helping you overcome some of the challenges that you would have faced as an entrepreneur? And how do you incorporate that mindset into coaching on this journey?
Well, what I can say is that the Bible gives us some principles, right? So it says, let the weak say I'm strong, let the poor say that I'm rich. And really and truly, there's two sides to everything, right?
Mhm.
And most times we would only see the negative. So I could say, yes, there's a lot of mountains, but there's also valleys.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to see the valleys as not just something that, let's just say, like punishes us, but
Right.
something that gives us like the ability to learn and to grow. So I think being positive and having the faith that I believe that I'll succeed, and I prefer to attempt and try and continue and work and so on, is something that I very much hold dear in terms of my beliefs, because it's easy to get for this whole thing to feel so daunting, and for it to feel like, all right, well, things are going downhill. But holding on to the beliefs and the faith that all things work together for good, and I'm being positive, and I'm looking at the glass that's half full versus it's half, I'm like empty and so on. I think that those faith beliefs really help to structure going through all the ups and downs in businesses, because the crazy thing is most persons prefer the safe zone of being salaried and stuff, because I would tell persons
safe zone.
Yeah, safe zone. So I've made money in business,
Right.
but I can't say that there were no downsides. I've lost money too. I've made a lot of mistakes. I don't think that there's anybody who's been in business who hasn't been cheated and stolen from and lied to and backstabbed and all those things. It's a treacherous mountain. So, but the thing is, the fate to continue, I think the perspective is that I'm okay once my wins are more than my losses. I'm okay.
Nice, man. That's true. I agree with that 100%. As you were speaking there, you were saying some things, let the weak say I am strong and so on. And it really kind of reminded me of the importance of not only knowing these things, but applying it in your life, in the situation. Because I have been in some trenches, boy, and trust me, when you're in them holes, them foxholes, you just want to cover your head and just be, hope that the time pass and you miraculously recover. But I often find myself is in those times you really discover who you really are. Eh?
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel down and out for a moment, but I always remember David when he said, "I encourage myself."
Yeah.
And it's in those moments we have to remember to encourage yourself to rise above it. And in the Bible there are many promises that we have that we do not claim that we should.
Yeah.
That will help us along our journey. So thanks for sharing that, man. Can you share any key Bible story or verse that has profoundly influenced your approach to coaching and business strategy?
I definitely think that the story of Joseph, which is one of the longest stories within the book of Genesis, is one of the most, I would say, it's the deepest story to me because it shows so much of that up and down that it makes it okay for me to feel normal going through the up and down.
Right.
Because you're talking about that whole journey of being, all right, like a favorite son with a coat, then your brother sold you into slavery, then you work your way up. I'm like in Potiphar's house to the top, then Potiphar's wife get you in prison, and then you've been in prison, you reveal the dreams to the butler and the baker, and then they still don't remember, and then come into the rise, like with Pharaoh, and being able to not just give him the dream and what it meant, but give him the consultation to advise him this is what should be done.
Yeah.
And knowing that there's 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine, even in that particular story, I think that it had an impact on my life that I'm always planning for. All right, so what if there is some sort of famine to come?
Right.
How do I know when the years of plenty really are? So I work with a mentality like, I don't know when famine is, so I'm going to work hard because when it comes, I want to be prepared.
Yeah.
So I think that that's one of the stories that, I mean, there's quite a lot of stories in the Bible that are really significant, but that's one of the stories that really hit hard because it actually breaks down a lot of truths about money as well and about being able to plan for the future.
Excellent, man. And again, the story of Joseph is a very stark reminder that the journey of success is littered with failures. It's littered with challenges. It's not linear. It's not A to B. Sometimes it's look all kind of how, but we just had to keep on pressing. And of course, with a vision, we could always get. As long as you don't give up, you don't lose enough. That's my mentality.
Yeah.
As long as you don't give up, you ain't lose, you ain't out there. They might be down, but you're not out.
Yeah.
So that is a very good reminder, to us that, especially in this space or who wants to be in this space. What would you say to someone who is thinking about getting into entrepreneurship? What would be one thing that you would share with them that could help them on their journey?
Well, I would tell them that there are a lot of shortcuts. Right. One of the main ones would be, all right, there's no star footballer, there's no star basketballer, there's no star in terms of sports, in terms of singing that doesn't have a coach or that doesn't have a mentor. Right. So I would advise that the fastest way to get to where it is that you're going is find somebody who's walked that path before.
Right.
And I would tell persons, all right, it took me 18 years of sales and banking and marketing and business to get the type of knowledge and the type of perspective that I have. What if you could learn that in 6 months? So I would tell anybody who's starting a business, don't just dive in like you know what it is that you're doing. Try and do as much research. Find somebody who's walked the path before. Get somebody who could be on the same team as you to just help you along the path.
All right. And tell me, what would be what type of coaching do you do here at Ovid Consulting?
Yeah. So I focus on mindset coaching.
Okay.
Right, because I have this fantastic formula, which is mindset by skill set by tool set is going to equal, let's just say, like the asset that is you.
Right.
And it really starts with mindset. So if you don't have your right mindset, then you're not going to pursue the skills that are going to be valuable, and you're not going to stack tools on top of it as well. So I would say the most significant things that people realize when they have a consultation with me or just have a chat with me is that they have so many limiting beliefs that block them from a perspective that they could achieve and they could grow and they could do what it is that they need to get done.
Correct. So Andrew, I appreciate the time that you invite me here. That was a lot of valuable information. I trust that you guys out there don't let this go to waste. Take note. Contact Overhand Consultants. You can find them on
Facebook and
Instagram
as well. Stephen, you tell me though, because I know that you've been in the financial space as well. So what type of services that you have like to offer to clients?
All right. Well, my philosophy on financial planning is based upon having a structure in place, starting with the foundation and then working the way up to the top, which is, in my opinion, estate planning. So when I meet with clients, I try to get a good understanding of where they are right now along their journey with regards to money management, which would look at things like, inflow versus expenditure and things like that. And then how do you manage that, the cash flow of it? What time of the year do you experience the greatest income, the least expenses, and vice versa? And if you plan for that, if you know in the month of August, because you have 3 children and school are looking to start back, that is the month you have your greatest expense. And if you start planning for that from September the year before, by the time you reach August,
easy peasy.
It's correct, So that is just like a very small part of it. It also does deal with budgeting and things like that. So once you get a handle on the foundation, we can move up to risk management, which is geared towards income protection, whatever, from the hazards of life, whether it's sickness, accident, disability, death, and other uncertainties that may occur. For example, sudden job loss and things like that. Having an emergency fund in place will help you to navigate those treacherous waters should they appear. And then from there, we're looking to invest in. So the reason why, I'm just giving like a brief rundown of it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. And for more, check me out on Kangalee Investments. But basically what it does, a lot of people, as soon as they begin to earn, they begin to invest.
Yeah.
But there's no safeguard in place.
Like a step by step.
Correct. So if the investment didn't work out, you fall right back down to the bottom. And then it may happen 10 years after. So you're 10 years older, but you're going back 10 years in the past.
Wow.
So it's more difficult to recover, as time goes on. So we try to help people, guide them. I try to guide them, carefully, step by step, to get them to where they need to be. And I always say, look, if you don't make it all the way to the end, at least what you would have done was make it better for your children.
Yeah.
So of course, this is just one way of financial planning. Is the way that I believe is the most proven, that would guarantee, in my opinion, a wider range of success for the majority of people. There are always other ways to do things, and that's fine, but this is the approach that I take. And it's about careful analysis of your current situation, looking towards the future, where you would like to be, and establishing a track for you to run on, establishing a pattern for you to, place in your life to clean up some of your bad habits, implement some new ones, and continuously make incremental steps towards doing better in all aspects of your financial life.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. And how would somebody reach you?
Well, you could reach me at 785-5759, or you could check me out on Facebook or at Kangalee Investments, and as well as my Instagram handle as well, Kangalee Investments. So you could go to Facebook, Instagram, or you could WhatsApp me at 785-5759.
All right. Awesome stuff. So thanks so much for being here on the podcast.
No problem, Manuel.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. All the best.